You know that moment when the world tilts just enough to show you the cracks you've been ignoring? For me, it started the second I walked into the grand ballroom of the Edgewater Hotel, overlooking the restless waves of Puget Sound. The air hung heavy with the scent of fresh orchids and aged whiskey, chandeliers casting a deceptive warmth over the crowd. This was my graduation party, or so the invitations claimed. But as my heels echoed on the marble floor, I felt it, that familiar shadow. The one my family had been casting over me for years. I smoothed my emerald dress, the fabric clinging like a second skin, and scanned the room. There were my parents, Harlan and Lydia Voss, gliding through the guests like sharks in tailored suits, their smiles sharp enough to cut glass. And beside them, my older sister, Clarissa, radiant in her designer gown, soaking up every compliment as if she'd earned them all herself. The MC took the stage, his voice booming over the soft jazz humming in the background. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Voss family. He launched into praise for Clarissa first, her stellar rise in the family real estate empire, her selfless, volunteer work that somehow always ended up in the society pages. Harlan clapped like she'd just closed a billion-dollar deal, Lydia beaming as if the spotlight was hers by proxy. Then came my turn. And here's the youngest Voss daughter, wrapping up her degree in urban planning. No name, no standing ovation. My parents remained seated, offering a few token claps that dissolved into the air like smoke. The room went quiet in my corner, a polite smattering of applause following. But it felt like pity. I kept walking toward the front. Chin up. Aunt Miriam's words echoing in my head. Endurance isn't weakness, it's the blade you sharpen in silence. I forced a smile for the family photo, the flashbulb popping like a gunshot. Lydia leaned in close, her breath hot against my ear. Smile. Parasite, she whispered, her voice velvet poison. The word lodged in my chest, a fresh scar on old wounds. But I held still, letting the camera capture the facade. Reacting now would only feed their narrative, the ungrateful daughter causing drama. Instead, I catalogued it all, the averted eyes from distant relatives, the smirks from family friends who'd always favored Clarissa. My best friend, Riley, caught my gaze from across the room, camera slung over their shoulder. They arched a brow. You good? And I nodded. Riley had seen enough of this over the years to know when the storm was brewing. As guests settled into their seats for dinner, I found my place card at a table shoved against the swinging kitchen doors. Every push brought a blast of heat, the clang of pots, the sharp scent of garlic and seared steak. From here, I had a perfect view of the head table, where Clarissa sat like a queen, laughing at Harlan's jokes, her hair catching the light just so. A server nearly clipped my chair. Apologies, miss. I shifted but didn't shrink. This wasn't random, it was strategy. They'd always positioned me on the edges, subtle at first, like forgetting my birthday in family newsletters. Then bolder, like crediting Clarissa for projects I'd slaved over. Tonight, the stakes felt higher, the air thicker with unspoken threats. Clarissa appeared at my side mid-course, wine glass dangling from her fingers, her smile too sweet to be real. Savor it, little sis, she murmured, leaning in. This is the last spotlight you'll steal. Her words twisted like a knife, dredging up years of stolen credit, whispered insults, the constant reminder that I was the afterthought. I met her eyes, voice light but laced with steel. The view from the shadows shows me everything you're hiding. She faltered for a split second, then tossed her head and sauntered away, leaving the sting to fester. Around me, a cousin snickered, an uncle averted his gaze. Riley watched it all, their expression hardening. I sipped my water, the coolness grounding me. If this was Act 1, I knew the drama was just warming up. The plates were barely cleared when I overheard it, Harlan and Lydia chatting with a city planner I'd pitched my thesis 2 weeks ago. There, on the table, lay the latest issue of Urban Innovators magazine, open to an article on sustainable city redesign. My diagrams, my research on revitalizing Seattle's waterfront districts. But the byline? Clarissa Voss. A hot flush crept up my neck. Betrayal burning like acid. A guest turned to me. Oblivious. Your sister's a visionary, didn't know she had such a green thumb. I swallowed the rage, replying evenly. She's excellent at claiming what's not hers. The pause that followed was electric. Harlan's laughter from across the room rang hollow now. Lydia wasn't done. Her voice carried over the murmur. Oh, remember when Elena nearly flunked out sophomore year? Skipping classes left and right. Laughter rippled. Eyes flicking my way, some amused, others uneasy. The lie twisted deeper. I'd been on a fully funded study abroad in Berlin. Approved by the dean. Actually, I said, voice steady as a drumbeat. It was an exchange program. But fiction does make for better gossip. Lydia's smile tightened, her eyes flashing warning. These weren't slips, they were calculated strikes, chipping away at my credibility, my sanity. Aunt Miriam's advice resurfaced. Let them dig their own grave. You'll hand them the shovel. The lights dimmed for the slideshow. Piano notes underscoring the parade of family memories. Holidays. Vacations. Achievements, all curated to perfection. But I counted the erasures. Christmases where I'd been cropped out. My college acceptance party reframed around Clarissa. Then the gut punch, my high school graduation photo. Edited so she held my diploma. Her grin triumphant. The room shifted. A few guests whispered, glancing at me. The omissions screamed louder than words. You don't belong. Harlan rose for his toast. Glass high. We've sacrificed so much for our girls, hundreds of thousands on Elena's tuition alone. Family first. Right? The number was inflated. A blatant lie. I'd bootstrapped with scholarships. Night shifts at coffee shops. Scraping by on ramen and resolve. His words painted me as the leech. The burden. Friends at my table exchanged looks. I silenced them with a headshake. Inside, the hurt coiled tighter, fueling something darker. Post-toast. The jabs kept coming. A business associate clapped me on the back. Heard your folks footed a fortune for that degree. Hope you make it count. I straightened, voice unyielding. Most of it was my scholarships and sweat. Stories get exaggerated when egos are involved. Harlan's jaw clenched from afar. Clarissa redirected with a charming anecdote. But her poise cracked. Lydia intercepted me in the crowd. Grip like iron on my arm. Ruin this night. And you'll pay for it. Her threat hung heavy, echoing years of conditional love. Truth isn't ruin, I whispered back. It's just exposure. She released me, gliding away. But the mask was slipping. I was done absorbing. The silence I'd kept for so long was cracking, ready to shatter. Aunt Miriam found me in the chaos, pressing an envelope into my hand without a word. I slipped to the balcony. The cool salt air a balm. Inside, proof, my scholarship letters, bank statements, emails confirming my independent funding. Her note, when the lies break, strike hard. My pulse raced. This was ammunition. Back inside, Riley pulled me aside. The invitations, yours started 30 minutes late. Made you look tardy to your own event. Of course. Layer upon layer, building me as unreliable. Harlan checked his watch. Lydia nodded to the event planner. Cousin Vaughn. Signals. I watched closer now, the tension building like a storm front. Riley led me to a side door. Voices leaking through. Harlan's calm directive. Ensure she drinks it, no fuss. Lydia, it'll hit fast. Blame the booze. Vaughn, I'll time the toast. My blood ran cold. Poison. Literal and metaphorical. Riley's phone captured it all. We slipped back, at the table. Clarissa presented a gift to my old mentor, a rare urban planning tome I'd hunted down myself. I knew it'd be perfect, she cooed, stealing another piece of me. Applause stung like salt. Vaughn took the mic for the final toast. Servers distributed champagne. Harlan adjusted my silverware, dropping something into my glass, a faint bubble rising. I didn't react. Instead, I crossed to Clarissa's table, swapping glasses with a playful quip. Yours looks warmer, trade? She laughed. Obliging. We raised them, she sipped deeply. The room cheered. Then her laughter choked. Face paling. Knees buckling. Plates crashed, gasps erupted. Harlan and Lydia rushed in, feigning concern. But their panic was real. I sat still, watching the unraveling. Riley showed me the video, Harlan's drop. My swap. All time-stamped. The room buzzed. Paramedics arrived. I slipped to the AV booth, handing over a USB. The screen lit up with the footage. Gasps turned to outrage. That's tampering, someone yelled. Aunt Miriam stepped forward. And here's proof Elena funded her own education. Their lies end tonight. Documents waved like flags. Phones recorded. Police sirens wailed outside. Harlan and Lydia froze, their empire crumbling in real time. I approached the head table, placing house keys, a family heirloom necklace, and a legal disinheritance letter down. I'm done being your shadow. Take back your poison. The silence was deafening. A murmur rose. She deserves better. I walked out, head high, the weight lifting with each step. Riley followed. This isn't the end. I knew. But for once, the narrative was mine. A week later, on the ferry cutting through Puget Sound, the wind whipped my hair as Seattle faded. The video went viral overnight, headlines screaming, Voss family facade crumbles in poison plot. Charges flew, attempted assault, fraud. Business deals evaporated, social circles shunned them. Clarissa recovered, but her stolen glories were exposed. Invitations drying up. I settled into a modest apartment in Capitol Hill, consulting on city green spaces, work earned on merit, not blood. The final mediation. They arrived polished, desperate. I slid over papers severing all ties, barring them from my name. No more profiting from my pain. Lydia's protest died. Harlan stared, defeated. I left without looking back. On the deck, waves crashing below, I realized revenge isn't fire, it's the quiet severing of chains. The price? My innocence, traded for freedom. But as the horizon opened, I knew it was worth every scar.